Here is the breaking news trending in the international headlines. Ladies and gentlemen, the United States new tariff wave announced by President Trump on August 1 targets 68 countries around the globe, including the neighboring Canada 35%, Switzerland 39%, and others, causing global market disruption and political backlash from affected nations. Markets fell sharply as investors lost confidence in a mild outcome. It might interrupt the world economic situation right this moment. I welcome all of you inside the country and around the globe to Satv's International Affairs. My name is Rashid Kanchan. I will be your host, and I have a very terrific panel today. Former State Minister for Education, very outspoken personality, especially on education reforms, Dr. Anomo Ehsanul Haq Milan. I have former bureaucrat who was the member Customs National Board of Revenue, very gentleman, distinguished personality, Ali Ahmed, and we have our international affairs commentator Shamsul Alam Panto. Welcome, sir, on the studio. And from Washington, we have Norman Floyd Barnes. We know at Washington it is 4 a.m. in the morning. Norman, first of all, thank you for your joining in such a time, and I really love your smiling in the morning. What are the latest you find from Congress, Senate, debates, White House and Oval Office, and from your president?
Well, good morning. It's Monday morning, and today, believe it or not, Congress is in recess. Traditionally, Congress is required to take recess in August, and right now they're scheduled to be out and back into their particular jurisdictions and home offices, talking to the people until September the 8th. So right now we have a little reprieve in Washington, and we can exhale a little bit. The newsmakers are out of town.
Senate Republicans delayed recess to confirm Trump's nominees amid pushback from Democrats. Meanwhile, domestic institutions are realigning. The removed materials on Trump's impeachment, and the EEOC got a new leader opposed to DEI policies. Is it going to be the #1 trending news inside the American citizens, Mr. Norman?
No. The issue, believe it or not, is the Epstein files. The citizens are pushing our representative to get to the bottom of it, to find exactly what's going on, so we can address these issues with our leaders, and we can address some of the issues with the new tariffs, how it's going to affect the Americans, and what are we going to do about this new big bill, and how the Americans are going to live day to day. That is the big issues. Some of the confirmations, like I said, yes, there was some delays. There were some confirmations pushed through, but the Democratic Party is pushing the Republican Party and the Trump administrations right now to try to find a new face and some leverage in terms of how to balance the government.
So these are the developments. I really appreciate your enthusiastic participation, because you cover White House, Oval Office, Senate, Congress, and American politics as well as the international affairs. Let me go to our international affairs commentator Shamsul Alam Panto. What are the other issues you want to pick for today? Is because we have a very terrific panel today, Ali Ahmed and Ehsanul Haq Milan.
Thank you, Mr. Kanchan. A very good afternoon to our panelists as well as our viewers. Well, I want to pick out top 3 news. Canada and USA are sharing some kind of tariff dispute, especially with the recognition of Palestine. And of course, Trump and Carney will be set to talk in the coming days. Not only so, we see that an earthquake had taken place in the Kamchatka region in Russia. Now there has been a volcano eruption which has not happened in the last 600 years. And at least 21 killed in Israeli attack as 5 more die from hunger in Gaza. These are the headlines.
That's fantastic. I want to begin with Ali Ahmed. He served the nation as a member Customs National Board of Revenue.
Yes.
So he understands tariffs issues better than us. Mr. Ali Ahmed, how might President Donald Trump's sweeping new tariffs reshape America's global trade relationships, especially with close allies like Canada, UK, NATO members like European unions?
Well, when immediately after the Second World War, the IMF, International Monetary Fund, and the UN, all those things were being established through negotiations. For an ITO, International Trade Organization, negotiations were conducting in Havana, and there was a lot of disputes between UK and the USA, but finally they came up with what is called the Havana Charter to establish ITO. It was rejected by America, and it was not established till 1995, 1st of January. So America became one of the founding fathers, like Bangladesh was also there. China was persuaded to join it later. So the basic two principles of international trade agreed to by all the member countries was, first of all, if you impose tariff on any item or reduce it, it should be equally applicable to all the member countries, unless there is a trade agreement between two or more countries. That is a different issue altogether. Number one policy. Number two is, then when the things are imported inside the country, you have to treat it as your national product. That means treating equally in the market. So that means no country of the WTO, World Trade Organization, can impose trade on any one country at a rate different from the others. So that was a first breach of an international agreement of which America is a signatory. That has been said by many, but then Donald Trump, the President of America, has been breaking all the laws all around. For example, the US President can declare war anywhere, take recourse to an act of war, but only with the approval of the Congress. So he is sending these B-2 bombers to Natanz field in Iran was an act of war, definitely, bombing their field. And it was not approved of by the Congress of
Yes.
the USA. So that was also a very serious failure of the country, and the first one was international. So these are the things he has been doing it. Well, I think he may have to pay a price for it someday in America and elsewhere. So this is what it is. Now this trade, so that is the beginning. You cannot impose trade under the existing laws of which you are a signatory to impose tariff, that means customs duty at will. He has done it. Before that, please remember that Canada is a big country, big in size, but its economy is smaller than America. And he said, think of the mightiest president in the world, the most powerful man in the world, asking his most close neighbor Canada that why don't you become our 51st state? Do you think nobody would say like that? That only speaks of the person. So he said this and he did this. But Canada has now given a good answer by using tariff on selected items which America only exports to Canada. And America is marching under the pains of this new step. Let us see where it goes.
A new kind of war is
trade
ahead.
war.
I want to do a similar question, but Ali Ahmed covered the economic perspective, but I want to do the question which have the political perspective to Dr. Ahsanul Haq Milan. What are the implications of the current political polarization in the US Congress on America's foreign policy consistency? Because President Trump already broken all the norms of presidency.
Thank you very much for having me on board, and good afternoon and good morning from America. So hopefully he will have a nice afternoon. You see, United States Congress and Senate, upper house and lower house. In the lower house they have 435 seats. Out of that nearly 219 are being controlled by Republican. So in a way we can say a majority is in Republican house. On the other hand, senators out of 50, the 49 with Republicans, and 48 with Democrat, and other 3 with Democrat. In this case, upper house is controlling by the Democrat and lower house is controlled by Republican. That's what we can see right now, the American Congress. You see, the debates are going on. The America is now dividing in 2 parts in the House of Congress and as well as the Senate, the upper house. So what had happened? And now they are having echo of debate themselves, and the whole world is suspicious where we belongs to. Now it's chaotic now. If American Congress and Senate, they are chaotic and they cannot give a proper decision rightly, the alliance of the Americans, they are in jeopardy. They think, so what would do we are right now? So as other Ali Ahmed, he said, the Trump, he has the executive power. He can do anything he wants to do, but he has to pass it from the Congress. But the initiative he takes first without following the rules and regulations in everywhere. Like he is mentioning the WTO. He is not following the rules and regulations, which one he was committed by a signatory, as well as Bangladesh was also a signatory beginning from the WTO in the year 1995. So as far we see, this is a Cold War, not like 50s and 80s. It's a different war. The war means in trade. And they are not a war in ideological, capitalism versus communism. That's not war no longer. So it's a new type of trade war starts in the world. You see, we're in a little boat, and in one side the USA and the other side is Russia. I mean, I don't know where to put the shell. So the smaller country like us, we have to be very, very careful to negotiate which way we're going to go. In this time, the chaotic Congress and Senate is very much versatile, and it's very difficult for us to follow which direction the country like Bangladesh would follow.
Very fascinating explanation we have received from Dr. Anomo Ehsanul Haq Milon. I must include Norman right now. Mr. Norman, how do you view the removal of Trump's impeachment content from the House, and is this a historical re-institutional neutrality, Mr. Norman? How do you see this? How American people are watching this? How they are reacting? How they are expressing their opinion on Trump's activities?
Yes, the American people are watching this with a very focused eye. Several things are happening. We're talking about Congress. Currently, the world, all the states are watching the state of Texas. Texas is in the process of, at the request of the president, to restructure the jurisdictions, which means he wants the Republican Party to gain additional seats, replacing the current administration, well, the current structure of Congress. By law, we can change, by the U.S. law, every census, we reevaluate the numbers and we redistribute the amount of representatives from that. However, we have a midterm election coming up very soon. And Texas is in the process right now of dealing with a somewhat of a situation where the current Democratic representatives is boycotting. They are basically leaving the state to avoid the vote. They're looking at staying out of the state maybe 2 or 3 weeks. They've done it before to avoid the vote. However, other states are watching this situation, particularly California, a large state. And they want to counteract. Basically, okay, the president wants additional seats in Congress so he can get his bills passed, utilizing Texas, which is a very large state. California say, okay, well, we're looking at the situation. We're going to be seriously looking at countering with Democratic parties, basically restructuring so we have more Democratic seats. So we at this situation right now in the country is very keen and watching how this is manipulation. It's a term we used to call gerrymandering, which is illegal by the Supreme Court, that you cannot restructure and change jurisdiction based on racial composition.
Yes,
We are seeing an
Norman,
act of reversal.
it is pretty clear that Americans people are witnessing very intense situation in the internal politics.
Very.
Yeah, very well explained.
Yes.
I must touch one thing too with our international affairs commentator. You see, United States imposed 37% tariffs on Bangladesh. Later, Bangladesh has negotiated and came into 20%. According to and comparing other countries, Bangladesh has done very well. How do you see this negotiation
But
skills?
we had to order for 24 Boeing planes.
That's
the thing.
that's a debate, of course. I want to get your comment. Then, of course, Ali Ahmed will give the input.
Of course, now we have a chance to compete with countries such as Vietnam, Cambodia, and those who are contributory to the apparel industry worldwide. And of course, to get to that 20%, we had to woo the Americans in telling them we needed almost about 25 Boeing airplanes. And how and which capacity and how many in one go and which inventory we will maintain over the years is still a matter of question. But I want to add on to outside of something of the tariff. You know, Donald Trump has fired the head of a Bureau of Labor Statistics, Commissioner Erica McEntarfer, who actually looks around, the institution looks around how many jobs were created in each recurrent month. And this is something that had the Republicans and Trump very spooked out. The numbers were spiking low, and this is what has caused him to fire the head of the Bureau of Labor Statistics. And what this shows us is that America is going through very drastic changes in state institutions, and much of it would be definitely affecting its citizens as well.
Yeah, I must give space to Ali Ahmed. He was raising that it's a give and take relationship. They have reduced our tariff into 20% from 37, but we have to done a commitment that we will buy 25 Boeing.
It is not a commitment. We had to agree officially. Later, we don't know what happens. He will be there probably another 3 years or 3 years and a half. So we have to start bringing those things. He raised the issue of financing and all those things, and also the real necessity, etc. I'm not sure what they are going to do. And now all the people, especially the chief advisor, was flowing in praising the team. They had done a great job. No, Japan got, what is the percentage?
15.
US got 10%, Japan 15%, and we got
20% and
20%, and many other
14%.
countries. So it is not something that we should write home about. The whole country is not so that they do not understand what has happened. People read newspapers, they listen to the television. It is tolerable, and as he has said, this will give us a competitiveness with Vietnam and our competing countries. But please remember, this will lead to a global inflation. Also inflation in America, which the president of the US is committed to reduce, and he does not know how to reduce it. So this has been a good thing in a sense that, as they say, it is lesser of the two evils. It could have been higher, but we have committed that we will buy Boeing.
I want to conclude the tariff issues here with Dr.
No, I agree with them, but disagree few parts. You say, let's see, we are buying, as he said, 25 Boeing from McDonald's within 3.5 years span of time. But how we are going to use it? Does they give us the space to land in the JFK or California? We didn't have the permission yet. They don't recognize our airlines to be landed in JFK, which we had done it before in the 90s during Begum Khaleeda Jia's time. So we are going to buy the plane, but we are not going to ride the plane. We'll park in Bangladesh. Do we have a space to park 25 Boeing in Bangladesh? Do we have a hangar like that?
And
Yeah,
Boeing Dreamliners.
Very tough criticism, I must say, from former minister and former bureaucrats. Let's see what's going on. We have to look at the Middle East, from tariff war to the battlefield war. Ladies and gentlemen, Israeli military operations in Gaza intensified Hospitals, aid seekers and distribution centers have reported dozens of civilian casualties, and humanitarian conditions remain dire amid blockade and displacement. My first question to Mr. Norman Floyd Barnes, with Israeli ground operations expanding in central Gaza, or what's the global responsibility regarding the humanitarian crisis over there? Is it calling people to the aid center and bombing to them to kill them? This is a new way of killing people, Mr. Norman? What do you say? Because your country have a very shameless support to Israel.
Yes, I spoke on this earlier. The humanitarian situation is very critical. The current policy and procedures currently in place is, through the world's view, is not functional. It's not working. It's not sustainable. Yes, the U.S. and Israel are providing a form of food distribution, but at the same time, they also provide a psychological horror and pain to the people. People are still dying. They're dying from lack of food. They're dying for the lack of access to food, and they do not have the proper health care and wellness to deal with the situation. I view this situation where we need to have the United Nations stand up and impose a safety and security zone to basically remanage the situation. It's very difficult when you are a opposition, you at war with someone, to provide aid. The psychological process is not there. Yes, we're providing food, but what type of food? Where's the food? Can the people get to the food? Yes, we put it at a location, we're seeing stockpiles of food, but we don't see the distribution of the food. Why is that? What is going on with that? Is the process flawed? I believe the process is broken, it's flawed, it needs intervention from the parties there. We have an Arab League there, we have the United Nations, we have countries coming in now who are now claiming that basically they're recognizing Palestine as a state. So it's time to take action, to put things in place to control the situation from a neutral third party versus an opposing party.
I'm sure our international affairs commentator has a counter for you, because Iranian officials called on the international community to move beyond rhetoric and implement arms embargoes and prosecutions to halt atrocities at Gaza. My question to you, sir, do you think Iran's push for international legal action against Israel will gain traction at the UN or ICC level, or it is just a formality, sir?
Well, thanks for your question. I must add on here that according to various aid organizations, at least 600 trucks of supplies are needed every day to just attain the basic human needs in the Gaza Strip right now. But as per your question, you asked me about the axis including Iran and Israel. Of course, Iran was attacked for a 12-day war. We've seen that happen, go down very gruesomely, much more of the casualties on the Iranian end. But they will remember how their military brass had been executed by the forces of Israel. And they will, of course, hold Israel responsible for this escalation into the Gaza Strip. Every day that we cover and we do this show, whether I am the international affairs commentator or host, I take notice of how many casualties are piling up on a daily basis. On the beginning of the show, this casualty was around 54,000, which has now surpassed 60,000. So that is the gruesomeness of the on the field that we see over here. And right now, as I said, most of the deaths that are occurring at this moment are stemmed from starvation and hunger, not having access to aid. That is the major cause, more than the bombing and the killing. But as Western nations and most nations are now growing a conscience into such a matter, and how they can unite to stop this Israeli aggression. Slovenia became, yesterday I picked it up, it became the first country to ban arms trade with Israel. So people are stepping out just ahead of the United Nations General Assembly, And I really hope that before such an assembly can take place, this event has been done and dusted.
Yes, sir, very fair explanation, but I need to go to the break. But before I go to the break, I have a very, I look for a very short answer from Dr. Milan. How might the current conflict affect the normalization talks between Israel and Arab states that began under the Abraham Accords? There are an agreement. Abraham Accords.
Well, in the year 2020, Abraham Accord was done. Basically, United Arab Emirates, Morocco, and what else? The other country, they had done this accord. And through this accord, Israel has the privilege to have the embassies and tourism and all other communication starts with the Arab nations. But all of a sudden in 2023, October, the Hamas attacked Israel and killed over thousands. And then Israel retaliated and they start cleansing 1/5 of the leftover Gaza Strip, which they had not stopped yet. Shantu is saying the world is now talking about it. I believe it's not going to work out because you see the United States, they are in favor of them. Even when they talk about ceasefire in the United Nations, at that time, the veto power, United States was against of the whole world and they are in favor of, you see, Israel. In this case, they are now considering all the people in the hospitals, schools, and churches, and temples, and mosques, and they start bombing down there, and
So,
it's went up.
It's pretty clear, sir. You are also not hopeful like other world leaders, other civilian people, other Arab leaders that it is not going to work. Ladies and gentlemen, we will go for a short break. After the break, I will catch two gentlemen, Norman in Washington and Ali Ahmed at studio, and my subject will be Russia-Ukraine war development. There are also something new with Shamsul Pantho, I guess. Let us come back from break. We will be talking about Russia-Ukraine war. Kiev suffered a missile attack killing at least 31 civilians, including children. Ukraine retaliated with drone strikes hitting Russian facilities in different areas like Samara, Penja and a gas pipeline in central military. I want to catch with Norman. Norman, say, if war goes to India, Pakistan, Trump has the ability to stop it in 4 days. If war goes in Middle East, Trump pick up the phone and say, stop the war. Why not Russia, Ukraine?
Yes, Russia operates on a totally different mindset. Mr. Putin and his government really do not fear anything that comes from the Trump administration at present time. Sanctions, severe sanctions, sanctions against his partners, whatever, is something they are prepared to absorb. Russia is working on a wartime budget, and they actually have seen profits from that. So they do not, outside of a all-out conflict, war, do not really, they're not impressed. They're not impressed with the current administration and the action of the administration. The war is going to, in their mind, is going to conclude when they want it to end.
Mr. Norman, we heard
it.
from your president, he said he is totally upset, demoralized, disappointed and frustrated about Putin. Putin is a person who doesn't listen anyone. I said I will ask a complicated question to Ali Ahmed. What do the latest escalations, missile strikes on Kiev and Ukraine's drone attacks deep inside Russia indicate about the trajectory of this war, sir?
This war is not going to end very soon. That is the thing.
That's the very powerful words.
Yes, not going to end. Because America has openly has been siding recently with Kiev, that is Ukraine, and they said they are supplying weapons and others. European powers have also got together, raising their defense expenditure and all that. So this would be separate, because the NATO thinks it as the border of NATO. If this country falls, then NATO does not exist. So they will fight to the last man. That is the situation there. And if you have heard it, you might have heard definitely. China said in one of the small headlines, very small, that we cannot let Russia be defeated. So you think of the condition. If China backs, and it does back now, not Soviet Union anymore, Russia, and NATO thinks that it is their question of their survival as a treaty organization. So I don't foresee any time soon that it's coming to an end. That is the very bad feeling, but I think it is the reality.
This is the reality. Ladies and gentlemen, please allow to get Norman again, as he has the time limitations. Norman, can NATO's Eastern deployment strategy effectively deter further Russian aggression, or it is escalating tensions unnecessarily? Because here in the studio, Ali Ahmed says he is not seeing any hope that this war is going to be end very soon. It will be a prolonged war. Norman, this will be last question for you, as you have the time limitations.
Yes, I agree with my colleagues. This is something that I've been talking about for a period of time, and we must not forget North Korea. North Korea has decided, yes, guys, I want to join the bunch. I'm going to provide you weapons and whatever, but we are not going to let Russia fail. This war is going to continue, and before Russia will decide when the war is ending, and with the support of China and his other colleagues, they will decide when and how this thing is going to conclude.
Norman, thank you very much for your joining. This time it's 4 a.m. in Washington Standard Time. I really appreciate from the whole team of International Affairs. Thank you very much. I want to come to our International Affairs commentator. I think you have something breaking news regarding the Russia's recent submarine issue.
Well, America has positioned 2 nuclear submarines closer to Russia.
They didn't say closer, somewhere.
To somewhere, and then later it was found out it was closer to Russia. However, Russian officials are considering moving their Oreshnik missile system closer to the US mainland. They are close. Russia and America do share Alaska as a state which was previously Russian. However, there is a news that is circulating online as well. According to The Guardian, a top aide to President Donald Trump has accused India of financing Russia's war machine in Ukraine by buying oil from Moscow, after the US leader escalated pressure on Delhi to stop buying Russian oil. So the entire world, or say if America wanted to win this war against Russia, Russia has very nice allies such as China, such as North Korea, such as India, which is supporting also economically, Brazil and much of the BRICS nations as well. And definitely Russia has been fighting this war with Ukraine for well over 3.5 years. We don't see a very close deadline as of yet, but I just hope it does not end in a nuclear war-like situation.
Sir, we must look at the South Asian issue because we have two pretty gentlemen here who have the experience of dealing with countries and organizations like SAARC. Sir, Pakistan's Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif reaffirmed support for Iran's peaceful nuclear program and praised its response to Israel while announcing 8 billion bilateral trade targets. We are not discussing that. We will be discussing about the SAARC and BIMSTEC. My first question would be former Minister Ehsanul Haq Milan. What are the prospect of South Asian cooperation organizations like SAARC and BIMSTEC, or something new is coming, sir, if you look at the recent news trending of geopolitical movements?
Well, before I answer your question, I want to address his point and also his point. The war will never end. That's all we understand. How could it be end? If the veto power, the five large nation, if the veto and the whole thing stops. So when Russia and USA are involved in war, who's going to give the veto? So United States structure has to be changed and the veto power has to be changed. Otherwise, nobody would listen, because we had seen in the Palestine the US veto, the ceasefire. Well, I come to your point, the SAARC. Let's say Bangladesh, Bhutan and Pakistan and China, they want to build another alliances. SAARC was a very good, regional cooperation between the SAARC countries. It was working very good. But all of a sudden, Pakistan and India, they had a war, and their conflict is a long time ahead. It's not a new thing. So from there, our SAARC is not working. On the other hand, China is building their road and built initiative. On the other hand, USA is doing Indo-Pak and Quad, all those things. This is the two extreme, countries that they are allies, who's going to be where and who's going to be support that. In the middle of that crossfire, we are in between there. So that's the reason SAARC is not working as much as well. We are expecting they will do so. But hoping the best that the BIMSTEC is another formation of the unity of these Asian countries. And strategically, India is in this, geographically is the center. And they are trying to influence the neighbor countries irrespective of they are trying to have empowered themselves in economically heft and all those things, and India is doing it. So SAARC will be very much viable if India agreed that they want the regional cooperation.
Sir, you used if India agrees, then SAARC will be viable. You used that, sir. I want to put this question to the former bureaucrat.
Well, ifs and buts are always there, which generally negates a result. As he has very rightly said, we have to think of, in fact, Bangladesh initiated this SAARC, because that was a very good diplomatic move. President Ziaur Rahman did it, I believe.
Yes.
So the thing is, when you have this country, Bangladesh, along with the 5 neighboring countries, 6 now, you can have a good place, big market and easy movement. That is the precondition for development. But that came for a very short time. When the road networks were supposed to be built, Pakistan withdrew, did not join. And then now Bangladesh is also inimical, sort of. I should not use that word so strongly, but inimical to India to a great extent. So India is not there, Pakistan is not there, and Nepal is not friendly with India, nor is Sri Lanka. So it are, as they say in English, very old phrase, at 6s and 7s. So I don't foresee any future, very near future, of SAARC being active or of any use to the region. It may be in the back burner, as they say, or in the cold room. I don't foresee any time soon that it's going to come to be of any use to any country. And India also, incidentally, I had been to Delhi and saw the new parliament building. The map of India literally includes Pakistan, Bangladesh and all these countries. That is the vision of Modi of India.
Sir, that's very provoking.
Like Trump, Canada.
That's very provoking. I want to draw your attention, sir. What do you think? India has drawn a new map. What is the indication?
It of course looks back at history. We were all one continent, Indian subcontinent. That's what the word that they used. Of course, it was a varied community even back then, difference in culture, difference in language, difference in religion, but no difference from human bonds. Biologically, everyone's a human. But these differences are what caused the partition of various communities. And after that, such a partition, one country emerged from that was India and Pakistan, and later a third nation, Bangladesh, came out. So, of course, we must look at back at our history to understand where we can go in the future. Of course, Indian politics, as far as they are concerned, they are now in very deep waters. As now they were supportive of Donald Trump, and now they are also supportive of Russia. They see themselves in the crossroads between world leaders, and of course, how much of that would definitely help them. And as we were talking about regional cooperation, I believe some kind of drastic event or some kind of natural calamity should happen in our region in order to once again think about unified communal trust between the countries.
Sir, I clearly understand you mean about the climate change issue. It is a big question. It was in my table. Amid worsening floods and climate challenges in South Asia, how should regional cooperation evolve in terms of disaster preparedness and response? I want to do this question, Dr. Milan, because you were a member of SAARC Climate Change Committee, I can remember. Can you please tell what was your draft resolution done in Delhi regarding this disaster preparedness and response?
You see, if the SAARC countries are unified and if the countries are willing to help each other, it is possible nowadays because we have to build a network between the member state of the SAARC. Okay, meteorologically, India is in our upper stream, and in the monsoon season when the rains heavily and the water starts falling to the lower riparian, which is in Bangladesh. So if the India can notice us, if we can form a meteorologically network system among the member state, then they can ahead, at least 2 weeks ahead, they can help us. In this case, the rescue team, the disaster management should be together. It means the neighbor country disaster team and our disaster team, that they can alliance with the Nepal disaster team and the relief corporation, everything could be very easier if we belong to the SAARC association and we help each other in the network. So what we had done earlier in the SAARC meteorological our communication, that they will give us the information ahead of us and we'll have a joint venture about this weather forecasting.
But they don't follow.
They are not doing at all.
Sir, what would be your take on this? Because this is a very natural disaster, is a very dangerous thing for Bangladesh right this moment.
While fully supporting what he has said, I would like to say that we have to go to the root cause of this. It is because of this climate change that the global warmth is rising up. The target of the international committee, the global committee, is to not let go up more than 1.5% Celsius of the warmth, because that gives rise to the water level of the oceans, but it is going up. America has formally withdrawn, and the last 2 persons working in this section has also been given leave and going away. So I don't foresee. These are the talks of cooperation while there is flood or cyclone, etc. But the causes of the flood on cyclone are not removed, although other countries are crying for this. Even China is also in favor of this, but USA is not, has withdrawn from it. So I don't see very good times ahead unless there is a political will in America, which also needs change in government, change in parties. That is not within our reach.
Thank you very much, sir. My last question would be to our international affairs commentator. You know, there is a climate change fund allocated for Bangladesh. Bangladesh could not been able to release that fund, but Bangladesh is one of the most affected country around the globe. What should Bangladesh government do to do the highest priority concentration to get release this fund for the safety of the Bangladesh coastal belt areas people?
So as for your question, what should the Bangladesh government do? Treat it as the number one threat to our nation in the long run. You must understand that this is a threat. Exactly 1 year ago, we've seen torrential rainfall in the state of Tripura, and what they had to do was release their dams to save their people. Now, what happened was, in relation, we've seen that residents of Feni, Noakhali and that belt was completely drenched in water, drowned. Some people drowned. They could not get access to food, get access to medicine, and definitely there was no prior communication at that time. Of course, there was political instability in the country 1 year ago, but we must, all countries in the region must unite to understand what kind of effects climate change has. Definitely it will be detrimental to our society, as we every year we see the rivers are claiming land of Bangladesh and they're taking it away into the Indian Ocean as well. Of course, Bangladesh government currently, and any government that is coming into the future, they should treat climate change as its #1 priority.
Sir, thank you very much. I really appreciate my very distinguished panelists today, and of course also Norman, Shamsul Alam Panto for your contribution, Ali Ahmed for few very fascinating information, and Dr. Anamo Ehsanullah Milon, very strong words you have used. Before concluding, I want to surprise you with two fascinating news today. The 44th President of the United States of America, first African American US President, Nobel Peace Prize laureate Barack Obama, he has a birthday today. From Satv International Affairs Show, we want to say happy birthday, Barack. And also Meghan Markle, American former actress turned Duchess of Sussex, now a global public figure. She also has birthday. Happy birthday to you, Meghan Markle. Thank you very much. I will see you tomorrow.